Super Plus.
Greetings and welcome to the Hills of Steel 2 Tank Breakdown series. I'm your host Andrew and we're back with another video to take a look at the next tank in the series. This time we're going to be taking a look at Shift, a unique tank. As you can see on the screen, Shift is unusual because, as its name implies, it has two different modes that it can switch between, shifting between a cannon mode and a movement and longer range mode. There are of course 3 skins available for you to enjoy, and as you can see on the stats to the right hand side, the health is generally good, attack is relatively decent, the speed is quite high, but the special is what really matters with this tank. And as always with the tanks available in the game, there are different attachments that you can apply to the tank to better improve their performances, everything ranging from speed to damage and health. For this, however, we're going to be focusing on speed because we really want to be on the front lines of Shift, so we've added the turbo to get us moving faster. Let's now take a look at Shift in action as we check out some gameplay. To see our abilities in action, we'll jump into some boss mode. In this first mode that you will start off with in Shift, you're in the what we'll call movement mode. This is where your movement speed is at its greatest. You also get a number of shots that are medium range and do a little amount of damage. Depending on what you're using, your attachments may increase the damage. When we then shift to our cannon mode, we can go down onto all fours and our weapon changes. We have the same amount of shots, but it is a closer range and more stronger attack. This means that we need to ensure that depending on whether we want to move or attack, we're in the right mode, because when we shift into cannon mode, we are slower. Our special ability is a barrier, and this is the key part to Shift. Whenever you are attacking and building up your barrier, you'll be able to put this big circle up around you, which will take a lot of damage. As you can see, whenever we take a hit from Kong in boss mode, we lose a lot of health. However, the barrier helps protect us quite a bit from that. When dying, we'll want to get back into the battlefield as quickly as possible. This is where we will shift into our movement, quickly get back into the fight, and then go back into the cannon mode. But of course, with a Kong jumping around everywhere, it's hard to land some shots. So let's take a look at a different game mode to see what that looks like. When playing as Shift, you will want to use the barrier to its best effect, which means getting onto the front lines and using it to not only protect yourself to do a lot of damage to the enemies, but use it to protect your team from the enemy damage as well. So in these first stages of the game, you'll want to use your movement to be able to get back and forth, do a lot of damage, and build up your special ability. When you've done this, you'll then be able to pair that up with the Shift mode to get into cannon mode so that you can get close, barrier up so you can take a lot of damage, and then start doing a lot of damage in return. One of the other things to note about Shift as well is that once you use your special ability, the barrier, you will immediately be able to start building up the next one. So that means that while you're fighting, if done correctly, you will be able to chain together a series of barriers. Once one drops, the next one should be ready to go. This makes you a very, very formidable opponent. Of course, it's not always about being on the front line. You can always quickly shift back into your movement mode to get backward, get healthy, and get ready to fight again. So although Shift seems simplistic, there are a number of things to learn in order to perfect how you play this tank. Everything from the attacking, the shifting, and the movement. Let's change it up and take a look at another game mode to see him in action. Let's check out Duel. Because of the utility that Shift has, it makes it an incredibly strong tank in 1v1. A number of reasons for this is that when you're in movement mode, you're able to use your medium range attack ability to use the hills to your advantage and do a lot of damage. If the enemy decides to push towards into you, you can switch into cannon mode and do a lot of damage in return. This means you can play safe behind hills, but also get aggressive up into the enemy. Once you get your barrier up and running though, it becomes really difficult for the enemy to take you down. You can just aggressively push in, do a lot of damage, and build up your barrier for a second time. So as you can see on the screen, we're able to take the enemy down while maintaining our barrier the entire time. And we managed to build up another barrier ready to go, so as soon as it's done, we can immediately put a new one back up. So this makes Shift incredibly strong in 1v1. Of course, overall, this makes Shift one of the strongest tanks in the game. And while Shift has no sort of downsides, the actual downside to it is the practice. It will take time to learn when to be in movement mode, when to be in cannon mode, how to chain together the different barriers, and when to position yourself to the front or the back. This is one of the strongest team player tanks in the game, and will require the user to put the effort into actually learning how to play Shift perfectly. So overall, you will want to practice when to shift, when to barrier, how to chain barrier, as well as when to fall back. Once you do this and perfect Shift, you will become an unstoppable force either in 1v1 or in team-based modes. This concludes our first look at Shift in the tank breakdown for Heroes of Steel 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the ongoing series. Don't forget to check out our social media to keep up to date with all the content we're doing across all our games. And if you play Shift, let us know in the comments below any hints or tips that you have on how you play them. Until the next time, have fun, and we will see you on the hills.